Joyal is the Managing Director of Public Safety and Homeland Security at National Strategies, LLC. He is a longtime federal law enforcement officer, and he also is the Director of Security for the United States Senate Intelligence Committee. He's a graduate of Catholic University. Looking forward to your remarks. Thank you so much.
This was the first room of the Senate Intelligence Committee.
Oh, is that right?
Not aware of that. This is where the church committee took over this space, and this was the staff area. They took all the amphitheater seating out, and this is where it all began. So thank you very much. When the United States government demonstrated in 2007 how hackers could take down a power plant by physically destroying a generator with just 21 lines of code, many in the power industry dismissed the demo as far-fetched. Some even accused the government of faking the so-called Aurora generator to scare the public. That attack would certainly require a lot of skill and knowledge to pull off, but hackers don't need to destroy mega-sized equipment to plunge a community into darkness. The recent hack of utilities in Ukraine shows how easy it can be to cut off electricity, with the caveat that taking down a grid isn't always the same as keeping it down. That is why resiliency is as important as cyber defense when we look to defending the grid. Now, 10 years later, MIT cybersecurity researchers assert in making America safer towards a more secure network environment for critical sectors that the most vital economic systems in the United States are essentially defenseless. The Black Energy malware Trojan illustrates how adversaries are constantly adding functionality to their tools to evade defensive measures deployed on by network defenders or software developers. First identified in 2007 as a distributed denial of service program, it has now evolved into a SCADA attack program by adding new functionalities that prevent simple and known detection techniques via a variety of mechanisms. These feature additions make the malware more robust and allow adversaries to use the tool for a variety of use cases beyond the original intent. Black Energy has more recently been repurposed to degrade the integrity of network control systems by adding just enough new feature sets. Known malware programs can stay ahead of the defensive capabilities deployed to detect and negate their effectiveness. Zeus is another banking Trojan that has been active since 2007. It was designed to steal bank credentials and exfiltrate financial data from unsuspecting victims. This is the type of malware that could also be used to acquire information from the electrical grid, both on individual user data and system operating metrics. The origin and longevity of these malware programs are both linked to the Russian cybercriminal underground. This underlines the importance of tracking and learning from cybercrime programs, for they are commonly used and become adapted by state security services to mask the true identity of the adversary. Over the past decade, Russia has demonstrated both greater capacity in cyber warfare capabilities and increasing willingness to use them. Russia has employed cyber warfare for a variety of purposes, including to dismiss and distort information, to disorient nation states, to distract from or support conventional military activities. Russia and hackers close to the Russian state have attacked nation states, industrial plants, financial institutions, government departments, media outlets, NGOs, and other Western targets. In its war in Ukraine since 2014, Russia's hybrid warfare has included cyber attacks not only on government media, but also on the energy infrastructure, the railroad industry, and others. Russia's distinctive approach to war in Ukraine has highlighted the Kremlin's capacity for information warfare. There is nothing fundamentally new about the techniques and the methods employed by Russia, even if technologies that enable them are. This is the case of cyber warfare. where the development of the internet has facilitated a broader and much longer-term information warfare aims. The attack surface is now enormous for information and cyber warfare. In late 2015, two of the Ukraine's energy companies, one in Ivano-Frankivsk Oblast and the other in Kiev Oblast, were hit by cyber attacks, leaving some 800,000 homes without power. Hackers entered the company's management systems through a spear phishing campaign and disconnected breakers at their energy substations. At roughly the same time, the company's telephone call centers were hit by a DDoS attack. The hackers then paralyzed the entire company's systems and malware affecting computers and servers. In most cases, power was restored within 3 hours, but because the hackers had sabotaged the company's management system, technicians had to go physically to the substations to manually close breakers that the hackers had opened. The attacks featured a modified version of the Russian-designed black energy malware. It's a Trojan that remotely takes control over computers to carry out. This particular malware is now associated with the crime group called Sandworm Team. In August of 2015, Norway's National Security Authority announced that cyber attacks had compromised as many as 50 Norwegian oil companies, including Statoil, the largest. The security agency advised 250 energy companies to check their networks for evidence of malicious activity. Several reported that their network had been compromised, and in one case through spear phishing, with a malicious attachment to a high-ranking employee of the procurement division of the Nordic Energy Company. Now I'm going to turn to resiliency. The National Infrastructure Advisory Council defined critical infrastructure resilience as follows: the ability to reduce the magnitude and duration of disruptive events. The effectiveness of a resilient infrastructure or enterprise depends on the ability to anticipate, absorb, adapt to, and to rapidly recover from a potentially disruptive event. Resilience methodology emphasizes the idea that disruptive events regularly occur and that systems should be designed to bounce back quicker and stronger. In short, the more resilient a system is, the better it is to withstand a disruptive event. Resilience operates from a systems perspective. We must understand incidents as a complex embedded process occurring in both with the interaction of natural and human forces across multiple scales that evolve and change over time. Complexity and change stresses the idea that disruptive events cannot be anticipated, but that when they occur, they should result in learning and adaptation. Adaptation is critical when trying to build resilience against cyber incidents, given the quickly evolving nature of the cyber landscape. We need a combined approach that uses the lessons learned from classical cybersecurity that are optimized for grid characteristics, but that recognizes protection won't be perfect, and we need to protect the data on the grid for privacy and the integrity of billing and the system performance monitoring. The importance of understanding the relationship between the grid's cyber and physical infrastructure cannot be overemphasized. Requirements include a reliable computing base throughout a system that is geographically distributed and exposed. Additionally, the challenge of scale, considering the large numbers of devices and business entities, make the potential attack surface of the grid exponentially high. How to protect so many endpoints and how to detect and make sense of potentially large numbers of events is an enormous undertaking. When a resilient system is built, it must adapt to both cyber and or combined cyber-physical attack scenarios. It will need to employ the science of cybersecurity and trust assessment to ensure system integrity. This should also include using assessment tools to understand how trade-offs for different proposed solutions, technical needs, and interdependency affect the overall system. Encryption must be considered for data protection. This is our imperative. This is our challenge. Thank you.